Hi, I'm James Shillinglaw, and I'm here with a familiar face if you've been watching us over the years. Terry Dale, who is President and CEO of the U.S. Tour Operators Association. And we're going to talk to Terry about all things tour operators and some of the things and programs that USTOA is putting in place, as well as how he and his team is helping members get through this, just like travel advisors, tour operators, need assistance, and this is a great clearinghouse. Terry actually has put together a daily news source that's really it's really a great place to find out all of the crazy things that are going on in government. So I've been reading that, but we're going to find out about all that and more on Insider Travel Report. Now, first of all, Terry, how are you and where are you?
James, I'm doing great, and I hope you are as well.
I'm hanging in there.
In Florida at the moment, which is probably the next epicenter of COVID-19 as we continue to see the numbers increase here as opposed to bending the curve, things continue to rise here. So that's very troubling, but I'm good. Thank you.
That's great. And I guess you have to, now we're going to be like COVID migrants, you know, we go to the state that has the least least cases, and now you can come back to New York, right? Because now,
Yes.
why not? Why not?
Absolutely.
But now that New Yorker, you know, Florida had actually sort of quarantined New Yorkers, and now it's going to be the reverse. I think it's crazy, but
Exactly.
But we could talk about COVID all afternoon. But we are going to talk about some of the initiatives that USTOA is taking to help its active and associate members during the crisis. I mean, just last week, for example, you cooperated with your European and Canadian Tour Operators Association friends to introduce new health and safety guidelines for tours. Can you tell us a little bit about that initiative?
Absolutely. So, James, it became apparent to me that between these three global tour operator associations, there's a certain amount of overlap in our membership. So why would each association develop health and sanitization guidelines individually that then our members have to try and decipher and coordinate? And it made more sense to me for all of us to work collectively to create some base guidelines for all three associations, which is what we did. And I think it makes practical sense for our members and also for our customers, because ultimately it's about instilling confidence in consumers to travel. So that's what brought us together, and we issued our guidance last week, and that's why we're here today.
Now, what are some of the guidelines that you are focused on? You don't have to get into all of them, but because we actually did report on that and we put it out last week. But give us some of the things that we're talking about for these new guidelines in this new era.
So we broke it down into 4 different pieces, components, and that's, staff training, it's supplier vetting, it's shared responsibility with our customers, which I really want to stress, because we can do as much as we can, but we also need our customers to step up and also take their part in this puzzle in protecting and creating a safe environment. So shared responsibility for me personally was always particularly important. And then there are the pieces that our tour operators will endeavor to do, and that's always starting with what is the local government and their regulations, what is the country doing, and then we look at global entities like WHO, CDC, WTTC, USTA, all the different alphabet soups.
Yep.
We want to take all of that collectively and then make sure that we are consistent with what the industry as a whole is doing.
Well, that's great, and at least it's everybody. We looked at the guidelines that obviously everyone is issuing guidelines. Every
Yes.
cruise line, every airline, every hotel, and then of course there's that other upper layer, like as you mentioned, the alphabet soup of and it's hard to keep track of.
Yes.
But if you can have one industry standard, I think obviously that's better.
Yeah.
One that can be accessed by travelers and travel advisors. Let's talk a little bit about some of the other things that you're working on with your members to help them get through this crisis, specifically using government assistance from the CARES Act during the crisis. Have most of your members received such assistance now? And for those that did not, is Congress going to be able to get the money together to help some more?
So, James, I wish I had the answer to that. I know some of our members have gotten the assistance that they requested, but I don't know across the board what that percentage or number is. So, our responsibility is to be the face and voice in the Beltway, to make sure that they understand the needs of small businesses, including our tour operator members and travel advisors. But I can't characterize, how many got the kind of assistance, but I know some have. And our job is to continue to be visible, to vocalize on behalf of our members,
right,
and do everything we can. But at this point, I know some have, and I have not heard if some haven't been successful.
Okay. So obviously you haven't heard whether some have been forced out of business yet, if that's the case, or they're just lying low.
No, I mean, all indications at the moment are, things are tough, and I cannot minimize that. I mean, things are really tough for all of the travel industry and certainly for our members. But B, at the moment, we have not lost any members. But, we're working with everyone on an individual and a collective basis, and we're hopeful, but we know that things are going to be tough.
Yeah, as is for everyone. I tell you something. Now, how are your members, your active members, working with travel advisors at this time? Obviously, with rebookings and cancellations and all these kind of things. Are they, moving bookings into next year or even later this year? So how are they? How is that going? The relationship with travel advisors?
Yeah, I would say the relationship between the tour operator and the travel advisor has never been more critical than it is today. We have to be working hand in hand, in tandem, because obviously our customer base, they have a lot of questions. I think the good news is they want to continue to travel. So we've seen a lot of shift from, okay, I was supposed to travel third quarter this year, but I want to move that into 2021. Mm-hmm. So it's the travel advisor who helps facilitate that in tandem with the tour operator.
Right.
So the relationship has never been more important. And we've seen a significant amount of business shift to 2021. Mm-hmm. But I also want to say that we're also seeing new bookings happening now, both for the end of this year and into 2021. Now, I don't want to say that it's a significant amount. I don't know the volume, but I know that a fair number of our members are seeing bookings happening today, which leads us to believe what we've always known, that when we go through a crisis like this, there's always pent-up demand. And I think we're on that cuspus of pent-up demand starting to express itself. So, people will travel.
Right.
It's just a matter of when is the right time, when will governments allow travel to open up between borders, and a lot of this is somewhat out of our control, but we're ready to help facilitate that, as our travel advisors are as well. Now,
obviously, we're gradually seeing almost all events get canceled or altered or postponed. You had a couple events on the schedule, and one, it was a very laudable event, and you had this sort of sustainability conference in Norway. Are you still planning, this is for September, are you still planning to move ahead with that, or are you going to postpone that?
Regrettably, we're not able to move forward with that. due to the circumstances. However, we're going to create a couple of platforms on sustainability this early, September 1st in the early fall season to continue the dialogue.
Right.
And we will reassess that for 2021. As you know, this changes every single day, but we're not able to continue or move forward with that in Norway September 1st.
Well, hopefully you can get it on for 2021.
Yeah.
It seemed like a very good idea at the time, and obviously it's going to be hard to move around this early at this point. And then, of course, you do have your USTOA marketplace, and I understand you're not quite ready to reveal your plans for that one, although we should be watch this space soon because you will have some announcements, I understand.
Yeah, we're still, I have a conference committee call tomorrow afternoon, so we're kind of figuring out what makes best sense for our membership, but before July 1st, we'll have something to share with everyone on that.
Yeah, I will. If your decision is not to hold it live, I will miss it because it's one of the better conferences in the industry. But if you go virtual, as everyone seems to be doing, it's like if that's what ASTA did and other ones, we will do that, at least for this year, and hopefully we'll be back for next year. Let's talk a little bit about what you're telling your tour operator members and associate members at this time. What's your best advice to them to how to get through it, how to survive?
Well, I think collectively we have a joint interest, obviously, and virtually a mandate to start building customer confidence, consumer confidence in travel. And I think there are a lot of different ways to communicate that, but I think that overarching is what we want to do, which is why we issued this guidance on health and sanitation to our members, that we want to let the customer know that we're taking every step possible to provide a safe, secure experience. And I think that is really what we're all about at the moment, instilling consumer confidence in travel. And we're starting to see signs of early indication that that's happening, but we have a long way to go.
Well, it was very encouraging news that bookings for later in the year in 2021 are encouraging given the situation, and hopefully that will play out all through next year. And what would you tell travel advisors about how to work with your members today and how collectively they can get through this crisis along with your tour operator members?
You know, James, I think it's all about communication. You know, now more than ever, it's about making sure that both the travel advisor and the tour operator are talking from the same page. We're in alignment. We know what we need to message to our joint customer bases. And I think that's really key. And I know that our tour operator members want to hear from the travel advisor. If they have questions, if they have concerns, if what they're hearing from their customers, something in specific that we aren't addressing, that we need to be addressing, let us know. So I think at the end of the day, it's really about communication. It's keeping that pipeline open between both parties.
Well, Terry, thank you very much for spending the time with us to tell us about this new health and safety guidelines program that you did with your other international associations with Europe. I think it was ETOA and what's the Canadian one? I never remember that one.
CATO, Canadian Association of Tour Operators.
Okay, CATO. That's
CATO.
Green Hornet. What do you want? But you know, it's kind of interesting that you were able to reach out and create this new association and a collective set of health and safety guidelines. It's great to hear what you're doing elsewhere. I'm just sorry that we can't all get together as we usually do in Norway or wherever we are going to be this year.
Right.
We're just going to have to. It's sort of 2020 is a wash totally. But stay safe and stay healthy, and we hope to catch up with you very soon somewhere.
Thanks, James.
I'm James Shillinglaw, and this is Insider Travel Report.